It is time for everybody's favorite segment in the entirety of the IWC turned show, by the way. And it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week.
This just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
Speaking of Dave, he doesn't understand the new Nielsen rating, big panel system. He doesn't understand he didn't understand the old Nielsen system. He doesn't understand streaming. He doesn't understand a good goddamn thing about anything he babbles about, right? And so what Dave Meltzer was talking about this week was a whole bunch of when it came to because right here, Meltzer fears facts. Somebody in the crowd on Raw, Meltzer fears facts. And I think he responds to it as well. I think he responded to that sign, which we will come back to in a bit. But Matt Keane tweets this out. Most of them time the arguments about WWE and AEW center around popularity and relevance. In those cases, total viewers is a much better whatever. So maybe he's actually siding with us here. And Dave Meltzer goes, based on total viewers, wrestling would be getting far smaller rights fees. And then Switchblade says, what's the biggest rights fee in wrestling? The Raw deal. Netflix doesn't even report the demo numbers. Everything is geared towards total viewership with that deal. Total viewership is more important for all the rights deals in wrestling. Demo also has its place. He just cooked them, dude. He just cooked them. In Dave's fantasy land, it doesn't work that way. So he even responds to Matt Keane that, that wrestling would be getting smaller rights fees for the total viewership. Again, he'll flip-flop on this. Key demo, total viewership, minute stream buy-on, key demo. And then Netflix is like, well, our key demo's this and this. And then he's like, well, the key demo's 18 to 49, always has been. Like times haven't changed or like, I don't know, man. He's just nuts. So Switchblade owns him just with logical thinking. Dave Meltzer says, daily update I'm working on has some very bad news for both WWE and AEW, Brian. And then he says, pretty innovative way of reporting Dynamite numbers. And again, he can't just report Dynamites in the right. He just goes, I have very bad news for both companies. Let me write this analysis here and this breakdown report. He can't just tweet out Raw's lower, Dynamite's lower. I guess maybe this is a report wrestling overall, but it's just, it looks way more doom and gloom for AEW. Why? Because WWE's like making the streaming pivot and like they're still in the millions. And so I don't know, man. It's just, we've time and time again, we see Rampage do numbers, it gets canceled. We see Collision doing numbers, it's about to get canceled. They're going to add an extra half hour, 45 hour onto Dynamite every week moving forward. Like, what's the solution here? Dynamite's going to start doing Rampage numbers and it's going to get canceled. Unfortunately. And if it doesn't get canceled, then okay, but it's just the show that they're holding on to for some reason, and they're not going to create any new ones. They created a whole other show for Punk to stay away from everybody, and then they just let that show go to because Punk left. Like, what? Does Tony like resent Collision? Why they didn't have to let it just go to the tubes, but they did. Because there's no saving the company past that. But yeah, Dave, of course, it's both companies. I guess it is technically. That's not a lie. Okay, based Meltzer. We'll call him based Meltzer. Okay. So Dave Meltzer, we talked earlier about how he doesn't understand the numbers or the big panel data or none of this, and he doesn't understand old Nielsen streaming or new Nielsen. What? And he says the new rating system is a disaster for wrestling. I can't overemphasize how big it is. It's a catastrophe. But meanwhile, everybody understands it. It's pretty simple. They just put out fast national numbers, essentially. So you get early prelim numbers, they call them, and then the actual numbers come in, and it's a larger sample size, and they're more accurate. That's all it is, Dave. So he's like, it's doom and gloom. It's a catastrophe because it looks worse for AEW. And it has so far looked worse for WWE as well. But again, with WWE, man, you got to look at the big picture with them. It's about streaming. Well, why are they on network? Why are they on USA? They have their, it's just like they just meddle in everything. They just have their foot in everything. It's like Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, you guys know that comedian? He has his foot in everything. I bet he has his own app. He has his own YouTube channel. He owns movies. He does stand-up. He has he fucking has a YouTube channel about comedy. He has a YouTube channel about sports. He has he just dabbles in everything, right? And that's what WWE's doing. They have a video game, they have toys, they have merchandise, they have a show on network, a streamer, a YouTube show, a Tubi show, because that's a thing people are experimenting with now, these like free streamers or whatever. It's just that they have something everywhere. But you have to look at the big picture here. It's like all of the numbers combined for WWE just blow everyone else out of the water. So it only spells catastrophe for AEW because WWE's fine. It doesn't matter. Netflix is happy with them. CW's happy with them. USA's super happy with SmackDown. That's all that really matters. The business has passed Dave by, and he copes over it by saying this is such a disaster. But meanwhile, everyone's like, "Oh, this is cooler because it's a larger sample size. It's more accurate, allegedly." And come 2026, I want to say, or 27, 26, Warner Bros. And Nielsen are teaming up to be transparent about like their streaming numbers and shit too. So this is all going to blow up in Dave's face, and he sees it coming. He sees the writing on the wall.
These new ratings seem to be maddening.
They're a lot more of a story than I thought they would be. The idea was,
well, no, Dave, you just hope nobody you didn't know about it, and then when other people blew it up, you were hoping, and when you caught wind of it, you hoped other people wouldn't. That's what it is, dude. You just hope people weren't gonna point out how, like, what the truth is, and Dave was hoping he could keep it his little secret, point to these high numbers for AEW and low numbers for WWE.
That football would get,
at least that's my conspiracy theory on him, because I don't like you, motherfucker.
an artificial boost.
That's what he did, though. He did that the first week, and he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. If people on Twitter can figure it out, Dave can figure it out, or he's a dumb fuck. He's got to admit one. He either lied or embellished the truth, which is a lie, or he is just a stupid ass idiot and he doesn't study the business the way, which would also be a lie, because he fucking says he studies the business constantly. So which one is it?
I don't know.
Me neither, dude.
Wrestling is taking a major hit. We don't know why yet. I am absolutely certain we will know why, because quite frankly, everyone in both companies is trying to figure out why.
Everyone in both companies. Well, I'm in neither company, and I'm pretty sure it's because, and this is already written about, people figured it out in like a day. Something to do with like the live whatever. Again, I'm a dumb fuck when it comes to this stuff, but it's like live shows or whatever. The numbers that trend towards teens or some shit. I saw something about that. I don't know. I probably bookmarked it in here, but I don't know. Dave is just sitting here like laughing and, it's people can't figure it out. They're trying to rack their brains. There's more than meets the eyes, Brian. Garrett. What's this guy's name? Garrett? So, yeah, man, he's just been melting down about this, and then it got figured out real quick, and then he's just going to, again, go, well, the early numbers and shit. Well, did he play that game again? Or is he already just saying all wrestling? All I've seen him say is like all wrestling's doomed. Which it's not that it's doomed. It's just that we can't be comparing Raw to fucking Dynamite and Collision and shit. It's now NXT, TNA, AEW. Those are the three we compare.
Major hit. We don't know why yet. I am absolutely certain we will know why, because quite frankly, everyone in both companies is trying to figure out why, because the new numbers are so much lower across the board than the old numbers. I don't think people really understand the magnitude of this, because this is tens and hundreds of millions of dollars that these ratings mean to these companies. USA spending whatever the number is for SmackDown and getting numbers.
But what about fucking BD? How dare he getting numbers over in the millions still, if you take international replay, Netflix, and other factors for WWE as a company, and USA gets the benefit. There's the social media imprint and the partnership with WWE that they had with Raw in years. They paid how much? Okay, but they have good, what is the word? Corporate synergy with USA and WWE. They have a good partnership, Dave, over years now. They've established it. So why the fuck aren't you bringing up Dynamite that's doing Rampage numbers from a few years ago, doing Collision numbers from a couple years ago, or whatever the fuck? And why wouldn't you be like, damn, Dynamite might fucking go off the air? It's so crazy how he just jumps to WWE first thing. Dude, WWE makes shitloads of money to bring events to you don't got to worry about their TV right now, okay? If they just got rid of SmackDown, would they stop selling out buildings and selling out Raws and shit? I don't think so, and that's a drastic thing. They would never do that. But it's not like it would even really affect them right now. They're rolling, dude. It's just a weird one to jump to the most successful company. Now, I get it. You want to talk about and cover all pro wrestling. But when Dave's being like, why in this clip? Maybe he does get to AEW, but he's like, they're paying all this money. Okay, here's the problem, Dave. You talk about constantly how the money's rolling in. He literally said that on a show. The money's rolling in now. 3.6 million every single week in Tony's pocket. Bling, bling. I'm rich, biatch. I'm rich, Brian. He's going off about it constantly, and then he's like bummed out when it comes to WWE's economics. But he can't wait to bring it up when it's like, oh, all the numbers are down. WWE's fucked. Holy shit, man.
So much lower than they were expected they were going to get from the show. And the same way with TNT and TBS. You know, they spent a lot of money on AEW.
Here we go. Thank God he brought it up.
And to get a certain level of numbers, and all of a sudden, like the
same thing with TBS, dude. The first example should be TBS when all you're talking about and shilling is AEW. Jesus fucking Christ.
Numbers are much lower. Like with the NXT number, I think it's with 39% difference. That's huge. It's huge. Believe me,
he is right. He is right.
This is a huge story. I've had people on both sides talk to me, and
on both sides of Twitter. It's the blocked and unblocked, Brian.
I can't overemphasize how big this is, because that's the numbers they live and die on.
So my whole thing is this, right? Ratings don't matter and shit. And if Dave's like, oh, this is huge, but I thought that the fucking money they're making is rolling in and the dough's rolling in, and I thought that the numbers on Max are probably higher than, or like comparable. They're like doubling their fucking numbers, 50%, 30% of the viewership's over on streaming now. And when the key demo's down, he's like, oh, they're all over there on streaming. So like, why would you care? The answer to with WWE fans, the answer I've been giving or the rebut, I would say in my mind, if I was, you know, I'm imaginary debating Dave here, right? It's kind of sad if you think about it. Wah, wah. We have a good time though. At least I do. I don't know about you guys, but here's the thing, man. Like, okay, the response is WWE's on streaming and shit. They have a fingerprint everywhere. But look at the social media and the YouTube and all these numbers. Everything combined. Netflix brags about the minutes streamed, and they're like #1 on there. That's huge. SmackDown is like right up there on USA. CW is overly excited. Okay, all the numbers go down, and then they discover, well, the wrestling industry as a whole, the numbers go down. It's like, okay, well, we're on streaming and shit. Maybe CW's like, fuck, but we're seeing the return on investment, or we're selling our ads for whatever the fuck. We're making more money. Like, clearly they're happy with it. We don't hear shit about AEW with WBD. Like, nobody's coming out going, this is amazing and we can't wait to fucking. We never hear shit like that. That's the problem. And the only praise it gets is from Dave. And he's just making shit up. Him and BJ Bethel are just like making it up, it seems like, right? So the rebut to like, oh, it's shitty for WWE is like, dude, and this isn't even me shilling or anything. I don't give a fuck. I trash SmackDown. They announced the card for SmackDown tomorrow. I'm like, what is this shit? You know, it's just the same fucking show every week. I'll criticize WWE too, man. And they should start booking better shows for SmackDowns. Those ratings are embarrassing. I'm not going to fucking sit here and lie and say they're not. But ultimately, though, you can go watch the whole show on fucking YouTube. And it gets millions of hits, and they're generating tons of income. They're selling out every SmackDown. These cards are shitty. I'm sitting here as a fan saying that, watching that from my fucking couch, watching it on TV. Right? And people are paying astronomical prices for the fucking tickets. It's supply and demand. And you can love it or hate it, but that's what it is. So I can hate on the card all I want. People are having a good time. They're loving WWE. Business is through the roof. They do a poor rating. That sucks. They're on streaming, and who cares? I thought cable's dead, Dave. I thought you talk about how cord cutting and everything's on streaming. So this is disastrous for all wrestling companies. Not really. WWE's on like ESPN and shit. They were on Peacock for a while. Like, they're 10 steps ahead of this game already. AEW should be primarily an internet-based company, and instead Tony doubles and triples down on being this TV company. And that's why it's disastrous, because low-key you're just stressing about AEW and what it means for them, because it doesn't really matter. Like CW, if they're so happy, do you think they're just dumb? Look at these numbers, but then, okay, we're going to get lower ad money when this deal's up or the next year or something. Yeah, that's the ebbs and flows of fucking business. None of these numbers are entirely accurate. And even Dave says that when he's like losing a debate. He goes, well, none of this is accurate. We don't really know anything. So then why wouldn't you just go, well, it's disastrous, I guess, for both companies. But instead he's like separates WWE from AEW. I mean, TBS too. I mean, you're paying all that. It's like, come on, man. Yes, it's probably shitty but like, that's the thing too. I don't give a fuck when these billionaires make billionaire more money. I don't give a fuck about any of that. And I thought Dave didn't either. I thought ratings don't matter. And now he's like, it's disastrous for everyone. Or are you just sitting there pre-planning like, okay, WWE makes 50 million less next year, then I can run with that as a headline, even though they make $200 bajillion or whatever. So again, man, the full print says, come on, Uncle Dave Meltzer. Because him and LoPiccolo are going at, like, Meltzer says, yawn, stupid tribal fans not realizing, blah, blah, blah. Not realizing that it is the demo success of SmackDown that keeps them number 1 or number 2 most weeks, as tons of Fox News shows beat them in viewers. Meanwhile, Dave says tons of Fox News shows beat them. But then when Dave talks about Dynamite, what does he do? Dynamite number 2 behind News, even though it's tons of news shows. He's such a fucking con artist. And so LoPiccolo says, Dave, I'm genuinely not sure you understand this. Suggesting SmackDown competes with Fox News is the media analysis equivalent of saying 5G controls the weather or that drinking bleach cures disease. It's absurd. I think we read this before. And so they try to get Nick. Like, here's the thing. Dave won't respond to Nick, but he'll respond to other people, to Nick through other people. And that's the cringiest shit ever, dude. So Dave goes, you need to tell the company, because in its eternal ratings report, they've listed Fox News as competition for a dozen years or more. Hopefully you can let them know how little they understand about television. Saying how little Nick LoPiccolo understands about television. And then he goes, Dave, I don't know the full pint or if he actually knows anyone at the company, but since it was in reply I posted, I'll respond. So he goes, letting WWE know is not my responsibility and it's not my business, but I don't believe they treat Fox News as competition because they're sitting at $40 billion market cap instead of in the gutter with this kind of analysis. TKO knows how this works. Sure, I could text this to Legend Hill, but I try not to waste his time or insult his intelligence. If you really want, maybe I'll put us all on a group email thread, but all that's really going to accomplish is make Legend Hill think you failed more wellness tests than Andrade. And I love Andrade, so I don't want to cause him the indignity of being compared with you. Oh, that's a lethal diss right there. And he says, here's how this actually works. Broadcast, cable, and streaming are not categories anymore. They are pipes. Buyers allocate across the entire primetime and live ecosystem because the same national ad budgets are in play. Nobody in the room slices it up by legacy distribution labels. They look at reach, cost per impression, audience quality, and how those units can be bundled and sold across portfolios. That's why Netflix and ESPN are paying a combined $6.6 billion for WWE rights, Netflix $5 billion, ESPN $1.6 are not about quote unquote shows. They're about leverage. It gives those platforms anchor inventory that forces advertisers into broader portfolio buys. Scripted dramas, comedies, reality, lifestyle, and digital all get swept in with sports. It is the same reason Paramount is paying $7.7 billion for UFC, why YouTube is spending $2 billion per year on NFL Sunday Ticket, why Amazon is at $1 billion annually for Thursday Night Football, and another $1.8 billion in NBA rights. Why Netflix is paying $75 million for NFL Christmas game. That's crazy. Why Peacock spent $110 million on a single wild card. Why Apple committed $85 million a year for MLB and is circling F1 once ESPN's term ends. None of these checks are passion plays. They are portfolio leverage buys. Nick, I love you, bud. You can't even drop bombs on him like he's dead. Leave him alone. Leave him alone, dude. He's fucking, he can't even, if he studied and learned too, he would read all this and go, indubitably. He would like at least respond to it, but he doesn't even want to see what you're saying. That's the problem with Dave, right? He'll just ignore it and answer to other people instead of you. Dave says, or pardon me, Nick says, sports rights bring guaranteed audiences, which bring guaranteed advertisers. Those advertisers are then monetized across the portfolio. That's the playbook. Apple, Amazon, Netflix, etc., and YouTube, etc., all use sports as an anchor. You're also buying scripted, lifestyle, and digital. That's literally how it works. That's also why AVOD tiers are exploding. Sports guarantees, advertisers, demand, etc. So you guys get the point, okay? He just fucking buried him. So he goes, when you reduce this to SmackDown versus Fox News or CW versus TNT or broadcast versus cable, you expose yourself. There you go. Because, and this is why Dave exposed himself, because he says, I study and learn the business more than most, more than many, more than everyone, they say. You know, it's like, we've used this analogy before. It's like, I got a 15-inch dick, whip it out. It ain't that big, bud. Doesn't even matter if it's 10, you know, it ain't 15. You know, you're talking all this shit, dude. But you expose yourself to people like Nick LoPiccolo. So, funny shit, man. We have another thread with Nick, but first, again, I just said I live for this shit. We already covered this. This is my little ad, my little promo for Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week. I hope you guys are all enjoying it. So Nick LoPiccolo, dude, he has this ginormous thread. Okay, speaking of big over here, and 15. This is like 15 fucking tweets here, but they're all short. It's like the one we just read, but short. Right? So Dave Meltzer has this to say. It's the only number we have. What is he talking about here? So this football guy goes, but it's not about ratings and viewership, according to Dave and the other AEW fans. So a bit of a pointless post, no? And Dave Meltzer says it's the only number we have. When Netflix gets demos released, we'll compare those. The funny thing is, I expect the demos are more favorable, in the year by year, comparison if they were taken, which tells you that nobody knows them, or else WWE PR would be telling me them. Or else they would be. They wouldn't fucking tell you nada. But yeah, I mean, it's a TLDR receipts first. And Nick LoPiccolo says, okay, let's murder a body. And so this is the TLDR here. He goes, yes, Netflix explicitly says it collects demo data at sign up, age, and gender, and emphasizes it's 100% signed in audience, fully addressable, fully targetable. They talk about content skewing to different demos, 13 Reasons Why appeals much younger, Grace and Frankie older, and call out kids family co-viewing. They tie live events, sports to bringing in a young and more global audience versus linear TV. On ads, Netflix says ad tier engagement. So he's literally going, this is where they've said these fucking things that you're going like, all we can do is listen to LoPiccolo or whatever. It's fucking nutty, man. So similar to non-ad plans and provides concrete scale metrics. This is LoPiccolo. How dare I? And he says external audit measurement hooks, a Nielsen 1 ads, integrates Netflix, first party data, etc., etc. Okay. Direct transcript evidence that Netflix segments audience by demo skew, right? So he pulls receipts for all the shit. We're not going to read it all, but he's showing you, like, here's receipts for everything, Dave. And you say you study the business more. Nick is like, bro, I'm fucking out here slinging deals, signing fucking NXT talent. They got WWE talent over there. They got fucking... he's doing Sydney Sweeney shit earlier this year, whatever, right? Like, he's fucking wheeling and dealing, right? Ballin', shot calling. And he's over here like dropping receipts that, like, where do you even find this? Did he just like, how did he even pull these up? He's like, I got the article. It's right here. He just caught a fucking body, dude. And so I would just trust him over I'm saying, when it comes to this shit, man. Shout out Nick LoPiccolo. He's been like tagging and clipping your boy a bunch, and that's a great look, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that, But if Dave studied more than anybody, then he would like know one iota of this. But it's not possible to know what Nick LoPiccolo knows and to be in the position he's in and be like watching CMLL and New Japan and AEW and WWE. Like, I barely got time to shit. I try to make streaming my shit so I can just watch all the wrestlings, all the more. Here's the thing, man. People got to do other shit. He knows this much. Like, Dave couldn't possibly know as much as like this guy here. And if Dave was smart, he'd be like picking this guy's brain instead of getting triggered by him. And, Tony Khan as well, I think, would be picking this guy's brain and like reading what he's saying and applying it, or at least like taking notes, putting it in your back pocket, So Dave Meltzer says, have we been misled for the last 25 on how popular wrestling is for the last 25 years? And this is the thing, right? That Jake Scudder, whatever the fuck his name is.
I don't know.
He was sitting there like, not everything's a conspiracy and shit, right? Meanwhile, Dave's like,
oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Dave's like, Scully, perhaps wrestling, it's all an illusion. It's a simulation, Brian. The numbers aren't real.
Is this data better than the original data? And thus, we've all been misled for the last 25 years on how popular wrestling is as compared to everything else on television. And wrestling has gotten all this money in the last, whatever it's been, 10 years based on faulty data, and it's really not as popular as a television show as we thought.
Oh my God, Dave, the fucking attendances for WWE are through the roof and the prices are through the roof at the same time. That's what's crazy about it. The prices are through the fucking roof and the attendances are literally through the roof for WWE. Is wrestling really as popular? Dude, GCW outdrew Dynamite in the same building, like a week apart. TNA is selling more seats than AEW are for pay-per-views in the same week. You're fucking coping.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard. Coping and seething.
Or is this new number just
I would be questioning that for Dynamite, whose their key show is now doing their lowest show ratings, their B or C show ratings, and their attendances are like 1,000 people showing up to these shows. And fucking Hog Wrestling is drawing more, or whatever the fuck.
screwed up? But why would it only be for wrestling? We don't have an answer. USA needs SmackDown. They freaking collapse without SmackDown. From a CW standpoint, I don't see any problems, because the reality is that they didn't pay a lot for NXT to begin with.
Like when AEW's attendances are 1,000 people and shit, and their fucking their viewership is in the shitter. Talk about maybe AEW's not as popular. Maybe not as many people watch SmackDown. Not is WWE and wrestling not as popular. You mean the fucking thing where Hollywood's putting all these fucking wrestlers in their movies now and shit? Like, Dave's so kooky.
The AEW, it was a big money deal. I feel they're the most vulnerable because TBS and TNT, they don't need it. It's good to have. And the ratings were certainly good enough to justify the money in the original deal. But when you take that stuff down 15%, we don't know. Is this
15%? Half of 30? I mean, we don't know. If you put 30 in half, it's 15, and we just don't know, Brian. So Meltzer said what goes, if only there were some journalists in San Jose who could have investigated, right, about Dave Meltzer's fucking favorite company, AEW, there having a faulty attendance. So on PWT Live Show this week, we covered it. The attendance for All In aligned with like what a lot of people predicted. And there was the rumor floating around. It was like 18,000 tickets or whatever. And then it turns out like a few thousand were comped. And that's pretty much what I was saying. I was like, we're in the few thousand now leading into All In. But hey, whatever, Carney Wrestling, everybody's going to inflate their tickets a bit. But it's just funny that, Dave, I study the business. Where the fuck is his take on this? Well, I think we have it. No. We actually don't have it. But Switchblade is just saying, remember, he follows the company internally closer than anyone. So Dave Meltzer follows AEW's company internally closer than anyone, but he didn't fucking know that they papered this house and didn't, or is he admitting that he did know but chose not to report on it? Idiot. Either way, Dave's just a fucking clown, and shout out Switchblade. So WrestleNomics, the All In Texas attendance and public funding detailed in government records. So here's what Dave Meltzer had to say. Look at this fucking cope, man. Look at this seed. Accurate numbers are cancer to those who are afraid. Oh, and Tony runs an analytics company. Dave, you're still crying about WWE. And Dave is afraid. Dave is afraid to confront. He can't let one domino fall of I'm wrong, because then all the dominoes of wrongness go collapsing behind him. Right? And then it paints a very ugly picture at the end of it. And he knows, like, it's people say cognitive dissonance, whatever. It's like shields. It's like walls. It's dominoes he's been stacking up. Right. And he goes, accurate numbers are cancer to those who are afraid. Meanwhile, Dave is like, this is disastrous that the numbers are more accurate for Nielsen. It's disastrous that the real attendance number comes out. But Hogan and Andre, 93,000. I think Dave's afraid, and he just calls it out. This is called projection. Accurate numbers are cancer to those who are afraid. So then why do you spurg out and get so upset when people challenge you on numbers that you admittedly don't know about Max and shit? It's projection, Dave. So Dave says, oh, and Tony runs an analytics company for sports. Who cares? Who gives a fuck? He doesn't work there. He runs the company. No, he hires a bunch of fucking people to work for him, and they crunch numbers and stats. And yeah, have you ever been to like a relative's little league game, or you go to your nephew's hockey game or whatever? Yeah, they get a parent to fucking fill in the scorecard. They ask for a volunteer to do that, to keep fucking stats, man. Yeah, it's like anyone could really realistically do that. It's lines on paper, dude. Relax. So accurate numbers are like this thing. Oh, and Tony runs an analytics company for sports, so accurate numbers are like this thing. You mean his thing? And Vince always studied house show numbers as the guide of whether his booking was or wasn't on target. Right, because that actually pertains directly to the pro wrestling business as it was in his time. Booking. Tony Khan doesn't do house shows. So they do stats for sports. Okay. Is that the same as doing crunching numbers for media and shit? Is that the same as looking at numbers for pro wrestling, or even like understanding the fundamentals of what he doesn't do house shows? So that it's like Vince always looked at the numbers of this thing Tony doesn't look at numbers for, but Tony can do numbers better than Vince could. Like, come on, man. Just admit it's carny wrestling and they're fucking working the numbers too, and you're being worked and you don't know them. Accurate numbers are cancer to those who are afraid. Dave Meltzer should get that tattooed on his fucking forehead. The fuck is he talking about, dude? That, ladies and gentlemen, was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week.